Now then that we know more what the Webview is and how we can communicate with it, we can start talking about some development migration steps. The first one is to identify which is the section to switch in React Native, the UI and UX implementation, some remote config, and the testing part before go with the go live, so with the deployment. Hello everyone, thank you. First of all, let me introduce myself. I am Simone and I am a React Native developer at Accenture. And today I want to talk about a topic that all of us at least once during our career have encountered or will face. The migration from Webview based app to React Native. Every time I come across this situation, I always ask to myself for mailing questions. The first one is, why do many companies rely on Webviews? What are the pros and the cons of the Webviews? And why do the companies at some times decide to switch Webview to React Native? After that, how can we keep track of a long-term development and releases? I will try to give an answer to all of these 4 questions following this agenda, so we can start knowing more about the Webview in React Native, sliding into the development migration step with some release strategies and some parachutes that I always added in my code, and closing with real cases that for a real project I'm working since 2 months ago. Let's start talking about the Webview in React Native. What is a Webview? A Webview is a component that displays web content within a native view. We can say that the Webview for an application mobile is a black box, so the app doesn't know anything about what happened inside the Webview. We only know that in that specific component there is a Webview. In this snap of code we can see how we are using a Webview in a generic class, using 2 properties that the Webview offers, the user agent and the source. But we can see that we have other properties, for example the long load, to do some actions during the Webview loads, the on message, and the injected JavaScript that is useful to inject some JavaScript into the website. Why do many companies rely on Webviews? The first reason is because they already have taken the necessary step to establish their online presences. In other words, they already have a website, so that they think that it's not necessary to spend other money or invest other time to develop a new application mobile. The only thing that is needed is to joke with the website and do it resizable, so that they can put it in a Webview, and after that they think that the game is done, so they have a web app. Another reason why companies rely on the Webview is because whenever they edited the web, they immediately have also the application updated. The only things needed is that the user refresh the web app, and so that they don't have any dependencies with some deploy or the fact that the user must update the app. Obviously, it is not enough, because we know that the Webview have a lot of different cons. The first cons is related to the session, because it's not easy to maintain a stable session, specifically with some applications on mobile that are not totally in Webview, because we know that the store doesn't accept the app that are totally in Webview. But the difficulty is to maintain the session with some pages in Webview and the native one. Another important cons to highlight is that the Webview have performance limitation and a slower page loading. If you have in your hands 2 different apps and you try with the one developed in a Webview and the one in React Native, you immediately see which one is the Webview, because you can see the different related to performance. Another important thing that is to highlight on the cons slide is about the continuous information flow challenging. As we said, the Webview is a black box for the app, so the app doesn't know when the user tap on a specific component or do some action. To do it, we need that the web send a message to application to say that the user did something in this side of code. There are 3 different methods that the web app, the Webview can talk with the application mobile: the post message, the cookies, and the user agent. What is the post message? The post message is a function that permits to communicate the website with the application mobile. It's a function, it's a JavaScript function that accepts 3 different properties: the message, that is the data to be sent to the other window, the target origin specifies, and the transfer, that is a sequence of transferable objects that are transferred obviously with the message. The post message could be intercepted by the Webview using the onMessage properties. In this code we can see how we are using the function, the onMessage props. We are adding a switch case because the case of this function is already defined with the Webview, and so that we can do some actions based on this post message. There is the possibility also to send a post message from a React Native application to the Webview. We can do it using the injected JavaScript properties. As we can see here, we are injecting a Webview ref, so the references of the Webview, and then we can send a post message to talk with the web. The other method that is available and is possible to use to talk with the web is the cookie. Cookies are also useful to have a cookie-based authentication. We can use it to keep the user always logged in the Webview and in the React Native pages. How it works? Basically, at the first API, the server sends to the app a cookie session ID. After that, we can reuse it and resend in all others APIs, so that the server can get this cookie and can maintain the user logged in. It's also possible to use another cookie, the anonymous cookie, to keep some information, for example, the cart, if we are in an e-commerce app, using the anonymous cookie. React Native offers a package called Cookie Manager that can help us to manage the cookies. We need to keep in mind that every time the user logged out, so decide to log out to our app, we need to clean all the cookies, and we can do it with the function clean all. Then we have the user agent. A user agent is basically a string that describes the browser that is making the request. This is more useful for the server because they can split a logic based on this user agent. For example, if you have a previous app that was developed only by Webview and the new one with some API that need that return a JSON, they can split these returns using the user agent. How we can identify the most important section? We can use different tools. For example, Firebase Analytics, or as we can see in this case, we are integrating the SDK of Dynatrace. That is a tool that can permit us to read the action and know more about the user actions. And reading this data, we can see which is the most used pages and start porting this page into React Native. Then we have the UX and the UI implementation. This phase is also very important because we need to maintain the same UI, but another important thing to remember to add is related engagement. With the push notification, we can use it to our advantage because we're making sure that they lead to the new section app. Then we have the remote config. Remote config are useful for many reasons. For example, in this migration step, we can use it to have a parachute in case something goes wrong. So, for example, if we go live with a new app and we can see that it has a lot of bugs, we can simply turn off the flag done by remote config, and so that the user, after the refresh, can see the old and the previous component. Also, we can use the remote config to hide some new feature that we want to turn on after a few days, and it can be possible because we can create a real-time listener that opens the HTTP connection to a remote config backend, and we need to fetch it when the app starts or when the app changes the status, for example, from inactive to active. I want to also talk about a real case of a project that we are working on. And basically, the goal of this first phase is to bring some section into React Native, keeping the less priority one still in Webview. We must maintain session management and cross-flow, going to define behaviors that can work in both sections. When we start with this project, the app was underperforming with a lot of problems with the session, some poorly and not optimized logic, and some unexpected crashes. The structure of the app was basically the home page, that was the only one page in React Native. Then we have the PLP, that is the page candidate to be migrated, the PDP, and the checkout one. The first things that we decided and we developed was about the API management. What we choose is Axios because it can help us with some interceptors and the promise that are asynchronous call. So the promise is that we promise that that specific API will be resolved with a .then or .catch branch, and the interceptors. We have two different interceptors, the request and the response one. The request is important to modify requests before they are sent. In this case, we are using the request interceptors to add some cookies and header authorization before the requests are sent. And then we have the response interceptor to handle response just after they are received, so that we can manage the data before that arrives in the application mobile. As I said, we are using the interceptor to add some cookies inside the API, and it helps us to manage a challenge that we have and an issue that we had, and it was related to the session. In fact, every time the user kills the app or put the app in the background for a few hours, after that the app returns in the foreground, the user sees that it was logged out, or it loses some items that he added in the cart, or all the information that is selected disappear. To fix this behavior, we decided, as I already said, to use the cookie session. With the cookie session, we received the session ID, as I said before, and we are resend it in every call that we do for to make that the server can recognize the user and make it logged in. The final result is that the user now have a stable session, and so that he can navigate without any issue. Another important tips that we added in our app is the session cross-app web behavior. In this case, in the React Native page, there are some buttons that redirect the user outside the app, for example, in the web of the same family of the application, and the request was that the user was also be logged in. We did it firing and calling an API that after some server check return a token, and if the check is okay. If the token is valid, we are concatenating it in the URL that we wanted to open, and after that the user can navigate in the browser and stay logged in. The page that we migrated was the PLP. How the PLP works. Immediately when the user taps on the PLP page, a web view appears. In this web view, the user must be selected the store. It's not the Redux store, but the physical store, to get all the items that he wants to see. So that after the store selection ends, the web view sends a post message to the app that can intercept, and after that we receive the right post message, we are calling an API that returns the store selecting, and after that we are going to save it in Redux so that we can use every time and everywhere we want in the other native page. The PLP also gives the possibility to the user to filter and sorting the data. In this case, we can see how we developed the fetch product API. We can see that we are using the function generator because we are using Redux Saga middleware to keep the data saved in the store. What is the function generator? The function generator are a function that can be paused and resumed, which enable a variety of applications. It plays 3 different rules: the iterator, the observer, and the coroutines. The coroutines because generators are pausable, as I said, and can be both data producer and data consumer. The Redux Saga middleware offer also 3 different keywords. The yield keyword that permit to pause the generator function execution and the value of the expression following. And then we have the put keyword that invoke the onSuccess method, so invoke the action that could be the onSuccess or onFailure in case there is something wrong. There is an important difference between the yield and the yield generator. The yield, as I said, is, let me say, an async await function. The yield generator instead is used to delegate another iterable object, such as a generator. If something goes wrong, we are also managing the error handling. In that case, we are fetching the onFailure action so that we can save the message that arrived from the API, and we can render the error message to the Webview or to the native app. Another tip that we added in the PLP page is based on a scrollable flat list. Let me say, the user, for example, scroll the flat list, for example, is in the page 3, and he decided to filter or sorting the items. But the request was that the user is redirected to the top of the flat list. Otherwise, maybe he lose some product that he never see. To do it, we used React Animated library, and in details, thanks to use animated ref, that is a hook that provides us to have this type of behavior. And so that when the user now filter a section that was in not page 1, is redirected to the top of the screen without any kind of issue. How we are using it is in this snap of code. So we can see that we have a reference of the flat list, and we are using the scroll to offset with offset as 0 and animated that is true. Now that we have the PLP migrated, there are other steps to follow. The first one is the remote config that we already talked, the crowd testing to test it before they go live, so that can help us to identify some unexpected behavior or unexpected problem. Then we have the phased rollout. It's useful because when we migrate, so when we do important changes in our app, we cannot go live with, let me say, as a big bang. With the phased rollout, we can go live, and so increasing the percentage of the user that can see the new updated app day by day. After that, we can check the progress so that we can see if all is going as expected, or maybe there are some problem that doesn't work as expected. Checking this data, we can see that the API now responds faster. We have a better rendering and the flow navigator improved. We can see that we have only API that have a response time more than 2 seconds. This is because we also integrated a pre-cache logic. Basically, when the user lands in the PLP page, before that he selects the store, we immediately fire the API to get the nearest item of the store. And if the store select is the same that you choose, we can immediately have the result. Otherwise, obviously, we need to refetch the API to get the updated items. The next step are to continue bringing more pages to React Native and improve the user to experience, so that we are in plan to migrate other page. The first one that we want to migrate is the cart page, and so that we will follow the same step that we did for the PLP. Hope that can help you. So thank you so much. And if you have any questions, you can reach me here.